98 Not Out, sponsored by Shepherd Neame, proud supporters of cricket in Essex.
Now, you say that doesn't get played a lot, but I reckon Antonia Jones plays that on Saturday morning on her breakfast show, because that's the kind of stuff that she plays, which is very, very up with what's going on, grime, kids. My daughter loves listening to her. But that was Coffee and Toast, as requested by our next guest, and we're very, very pleased here on 98 No Doubt to welcome onto the show Mr. Laurie Evans. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, Laurie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
We're okay.
Good.
Just enjoying that music there, and I was just teaching Brett a few moves of how you kind of,
Love to see it. Yeah.
Wind up your waist, I think, is the phrase that the youngsters use these days.
Yeah.
The phrase.
There was a lot of encouragement to get me on the dance floor when I was in the CPL.
So you know the phrase, once you see something, you'll never unsee it. That's me and Darren dancing, trust me.
Well,
so that's from
something I want to
see. Well, if you're lucky, you're a good boy. Then, so that came from when we started this conversation about you coming on the show, you sent me over your CPL playlist, and that was one of the tracks featured there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah. So obviously, I was lucky enough to go and play in the CPL last year. And it's always been a tournament. It's got that hashtag of the biggest party in sport.
Yeah.
And you always see amazing clips of obviously the cricket, but then obviously the party that goes on alongside the cricket. And obviously you've got people dancing the whole time. There's a live DJ all the time. So very different to how you play cricket in this country. And it's always been a tournament that I'd love to go and play in, and I got the opportunity last year, which was great. So whilst over there, obviously I'm very familiar with West Indian culture. I grew up in Southeast London, and I love it. And so as soon as I got over there, you're on the back of the bus, and like all the boys are like playing their tunes, and it's amazing how different music is from island to island. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna start a playlist on my Spotify and see where we get to. So yeah, I'll just take a track here and there and stick it on. It was quite cool.
Just for the listeners, who was it you were playing for?
I was playing for St Kitts and Nevis Patriots last year, and we had people like Carlos Brathwaite, Fabian Allen, Evan Lewis, so guys who people might know play for the West Indies. Carlos
Brathwaite is well known for one thing in particular in a certain World Cup final.
Remember the name, yeah. He broke English hearts, obviously. And I actually did a podcast with him today talking about it. So, he hit 4 consecutive sixes to win the World Cup, which was pretty amazing. And Ian Bishop, who's arguably one of the best commentary voices at the minute in the world, he was the guy who said, remember the name, and if you've heard it, then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think Ben Stokes just done one of those watch-alongs, didn't he?
That's right.
On Sky with that as well. Fair play to Ben Stokes.
He was the bowler, wasn't he?
Watch that again.
Yeah.
He was the unfortunate bowler. You've been keeping yourself busy during the lockdown, haven't you? Started off a podcast called The Inside Half.
Yeah, like I said, so obviously I did Carlos today, and I released it today on Spotify. It'll go out on Apple today or tomorrow. But I had this idea. I started playing a lot of tournaments around the world, and when you're not playing cricket, you do actually spend a lot of time sort of in hotel rooms, and it can get a bit boring and tedious.
You're not a FIFA addict?
My wife actually kindly bought me a PlayStation before going to Bangladesh once, and I tried to get into FIFA. I'm into a bit of Call of Duty now. I'm trying to challenge Joffre to take on him at Call of Duty, but he's got his own live stream site and stuff, so he's probably a bit above my level. But so I just thought, God, we're all sat, all the international players are sat around not doing a lot. And I started to sort of ask a few of them, like, do you want a cup of tea? Let's have a chat. Like, hear your sort of story, your career sort of highlights and how you handled certain things, and if there's anything I can apply to myself and try and make myself a better cricketer or a better person. So, and then after a while, I just thought, do you know what? It'd be probably quite a good idea for a podcast. And it took a while to get off the ground, and lockdown proved that perfect time. So I'm lucky that I got it done.
Yeah, you'll be having your own radio show on a community station next up as well.
If only I could dream of that, that'd be brilliant.
I'm just on your ESPN Crick Info page, and it actually it kind of probably asks the question better than I do. It says here, always a player with a clear talent. It was not until after his 30th birthday that Laurie Evans began to gain worldwide recognition as a white ball batsman of real class. Primarily a finisher for most part of his limited overs career, Evans batted with maturity and poise at number 3 for Sussex in the 2018 T20 Blast.
Biggest scorer, wasn't it?
Finished as the tournament's leading run scorer, opening up opportunities in Afghanistan, Bangladesh and the CPL, as well as the PSL. It has come to you a little bit later, hasn't it? And does it give you sort of... does it help you appreciate it more?
I was a late starter anyway. My first year... in sort of professional cricket, if you like, wasn't until I was about 25. So,
okay.
I got released from Surrey when I was about 22, and then it took me a few years to sort of like get back. And Warwickshire obviously took me on and gave me that opportunity. And I suppose when I was 25, we won the T20 Cup, and I got man of match in the final. And I think that year, really propelled me forward in white ball cricket. But when I was at Warwickshire, I was always batting sort of 5, 6 down the order a little bit. And some games, you wouldn't necessarily get in and face that many balls. So you never really hit the headlines with sort of big scores. So that was the reason why I wanted to move to Sussex. I felt like I could, if I was going to try and play for England, then I needed those big scores. And Sussex offered me the opportunity to push me up the order. And Luke Wright, who's captain, obviously gave me that opportunity, and obviously finished off with the most runs in the comp. So that was sort of how my brief summary of my career has gone. But I suppose it's only recently where people have sort of took notice, I suppose.
Late starting's a bit of a theme in that Sussex side, because we had Tamal Mills was on the show last week, and he didn't pick up a cricket ball at all until he was 14. And then we know about what's happened since then. Yeah.
Well, funny enough, I actually played Tamal. So he was playing for Essex second team, and we must have been about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he was like literally so raw, and I remember him only really being able to bowl short, and obviously we were both playing second team at the time, and when you play second team you don't really face that much quick bowling, and I remember facing him, I was like, oh my word, like it does make your heart beat that little bit quicker for sure. So I remember facing him then, and he was a raw talent then, and obviously he was a quick learner, and had to be, because when you're that quick, if you're slightly off your mark, obviously the quicker it goes to the fence. So he's had a great career, and he's got a great slow ball. He's turned himself into a real sort of unique cricketer, and it's just a shame that obviously he had a back injury that put him out of sort of 4-day cricket and 50-over cricket.
It must be fun in the nets down at Sussex with him, Jofra Archer and Chris Jordan coming at you.
Not really, to be honest. I'll try and avoid them as much as possible.
Don't worry.
If I can. I'll just say, I'll have some underarms today, thanks.
Cheers. Well, you'll have Ravi could chuck a few down at you when he comes.
Yeah, me and Ravi will just buddy up, and we'll just go off and do our own thing. I think that's one of the beauties of getting past 30. You can sort of say, look, I'll just do this today and I'll just do that. But now there are times where you do face them, and obviously me and Tamal, we train quite a lot together, because we get ready for the T20 comp quite a lot, and so I faced him more than enough times, and I just I pat it back. I don't really go after him. I just if he bowls me one full, I'm like, oh, well bowled, yeah, good That was good.
Has he still got his beamer in him? He used to have a really awful beamer every now and again.
Yeah, do you know what? I hadn't seen it for a long time. And then 2 years ago, we were playing against Gloucester, and he ran in, and the ball didn't touch the floor all the way to the keeper.
Oh, God.
And it was that fast. He let go of it, and it went straight on the full into the keeper's arm. So it was well directed, but it just didn't bounce. And it was in no danger. The batter was in no danger either. So it was just quite funny.
He did mention last week, we've got to mention your cycling and a little hat or something, he said.
He said silly hat.
Silly hat.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. What was the first thing?
He said we've got to mention your cycling and a silly hat.
Cycling. Oh, okay, yeah.
You push bike, because you and Matty Pryor are always off.
Yeah. So I did buy a bike like the rest of the country at the start of lockdown. But fortunately, obviously Matt Pryor's ex-Sussex player, he started a bike company, and I think they did the Tour de France, maybe their team and stuff like that. So fortunately, he had a couple of bikes lying around, and I bought one off him. And yeah, since then, obviously, just gone mad and bought all the gear, no idea. And one of those is this sort of pink hat I've got that I wear under my helmet, and I put a photo up on social media and created a lot of interest. So got a lot of stick for that, but
it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
You've covered a few miles on the bike, though, haven't you? Done a couple of big rides.
Yeah, a few miles. Yeah. You're just hoping for good weather. Like today, I went out, it started raining, and I was riding with Mitch Claydon, who's also with Sussex, and we just were like, right, let's turn back. We did about 20 minutes, and we just came back and had a coffee.
I mean, Matt Pryor's serious. I mean, he used to take his bike on England tours and all around the world, didn't he?
Yeah, he was telling me. So his company, called One Pro, and they take, you can pay and go on the Tour de France literally the day before the tour. Ooh. So they take 30 guys who are really keen, and they start the day before the tour, and they do the whole thing. Wow. And they just stay one day ahead all the time. And he was saying for training for that, he was doing 250 Ks a day, which is just obscene amount. I mean, the most I've done is 85, and
that's not bad.
That was when that was good, but that was when there was no cars on the road. Now, a bit dangerous. Yeah. So many cars on the road, and you get a lot more gestures from drivers by before.
They're just waving.
They're obviously just waving.
Not with all of their fingers. That's
exactly.
I've got to say, me and cyclists aren't always friends at the moment. In losing all my work, I'm driving a delivery van at the moment, and there are times where the cyclists can be a little bit annoying when they're 3 or 4 abreast on the country road.
Go on. Sorry.
I was about to say, obviously you've been selected in the England 55.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, cheers.
Obviously you must be pleased, but by all accounts you're also going to get some sleep apparently.
Yeah, well, my little 5-month-old boy, Josh, he hasn't been the best sleeper so far, but, obviously me and my wife's been incredible, we're new parents, it's our first child, and obviously everyone who's had parents, who's had kids knows what it's like, going through your first child.
T-Man's got one on the way, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not far away, I don't think. We've had a little baby boom, I think, at Sussex. There's about 3 or 4 guys expecting kids, so that's nice. And so I mean, it'll be nice to get away on England camp and get a good night's sleep. But
I take it she's not listening to this.
Yeah, that's just the selfish bit of me. But I'll obviously miss him because I don't think we're allowed to see him for a couple of weeks. So it's all very restrictive and as it should be. Health and safety comes first.
You must be pleased though that you've been named and you've obviously got a chance of getting a game somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I must admit, I reckon about a year ago, I sort of maybe started to play the game like it was never going to happen, and maybe that's why it's happened. The pressure took the pressure off myself and, just decided to give it a crack. And obviously it's paid off for me. So, yeah, really pleased. And I think, it's a weird sort of circumstance to be given the opportunity to obviously firstly get in the 55-man squad. But, looking ahead, there's obviously, no crowds at the games. It's going to be a weird time if it does happen. But, I'll take it. And, it's just a shame that it's all under sort of unfamiliar circumstances. But I'm also happy that I guess it's come my way, because maybe without coronavirus it might not have come my way.
Going back to what you were saying about the CPL, I think it's quite interesting that now that T20 cricket has been around for a decent amount of time, it's quite interesting that all these tournaments have got their own identity. Now, you're saying the CPL, for example, is billed, and quite rightly, as the biggest party in the world. And when you watch it, and I've been to a couple of games out there, it's exactly that. There are people dancing. It is a real party festival atmosphere. Then over here in the T20, particularly on finals day, that's got its own special atmosphere. And then again, you look at the IPL or the PSL, even the Big Bash in Australia. Again, they've got their own sort of feel and atmosphere to them. I think it's a really, really good thing. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, Chelmsford there's no environment like Chelmsford on a Friday night.
Well, there's a dodgy announcer there who's makes a bit of a... Oh no, Brett.
Dodgy announcer and DJ last week. Yeah, I'll put my hands up.
Yeah, okay.
That's my awful voice you hear at Chelmsford when G'ing the crowd up.
I mean, it's also got some dodgy West Ham supporters that are, obviously out of season, looking to do so, and on a Friday night, and they just decide to come and hurl abuse at you. It's quite amazing playing T20 game there.
You're a Palace fan?
I'm not. I've got Palace in my family. In terms of like my uncle and brother support Palace, but I'm an Arsenal fan really. But yeah, so that's.
Ravi's an Arsenal fan, so you got a friend there.
Well, so yeah, but no, yeah. Going back to what you said, I mean, obviously CPL, biggest party in sport. In a finals day at Edgbaston is iconic in a way. Probably shows why it just keeps going back to Edgbaston. Yeah. For that Hollis stand, whether it's on a Test match, fancy dress day, or finals day, it's just a unique atmosphere. It's just unbelievable to play in front of, and obviously, we won it when we were the home team, so that was incredible. But yeah, Big Bash I've not done, so I can't really comment. But obviously, there's a huge sort of family element there. Lots of their big thing is getting lots of mums and kids in.
Yeah.
And then obviously the IPL is just I played in Bangladesh, and that part of the world is just mad for cricket. I played in front of 50 or 60,000 in Bangladesh, and AB de Villiers and Chris Gale were fielding at the time, and I just walked to the crease, and they took a wicket, and they started the music was bumping, and they started dancing to the crowd, and the crowd was just going nuts. I couldn't even hear myself talk. It was so loud. Which was an amazing experience. So I'm very lucky to go around the world and experience all these different cultures.
You say that quite casually, Chris Gale and AB de Villiers. Do you look around and think, my God, these guys are heroes and superstars?
No, I mean, AB de Villiers is still the only guy I would say I was slightly afraid to talk to. I got a bit starstruck.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly, I'll meet, I don't know, if you took the biggest movie star in the world, I wouldn't have a problem with just chatting to them. But AB de Villiers, for some reason, I just couldn't bring myself to say hello. And I was probably, because I was so desperate to like pick his brains, and I wanted to offer him a game of golf just to make it that bit easier. But yeah, so it is incredible. You do have to pinch yourself sometimes, and you know, my wife probably says I don't give myself enough credit for sort of how good I am. I sort of always talk myself down and stuff like that. So you know, she's obviously my biggest fan. But yeah, it's amazing, you know, to go and play these tournaments and you know, be amongst sort of the best in the world, really.
Do you see yourself, is it a way of possibly prolonging your career, that maybe you'll only play white ball cricket and only sort of do the T20 tournaments a bit like Tamal does? Yeah,
I mean, it is something that sort of I've spoken about with sort of my inner circle, if you like. We're not sure. You know, I still love all formats of the game, and to be honest, as I've got, you know, the older I get, the more I just want to play cricket. You know, my love for the game has sort of almost sprung into life, and you know, because you can lose it. You know, being a professional sportsman, people think it's just great all the time, but it does have its tough moments. So yeah, I sort of look ahead, and I just don't really want to rule anything out. I want to be playing cricket, and I think it's that element of competition and putting yourself in the pressure sort of moments all the time, and whether that's, you know, in white ball cricket or playing red ball cricket, they're different and unique in their own ways. So I just sort of I've really sort of loved you know, playing in those big pressure moments, and I just want to continue it in whatever it is. But yeah, it is something that I've spoken about, but probably not just yet.
Well, I think, you know, your career seems to be going on a huge upward trajectory over these last couple of years, and we're watching with very, very close interest. And good luck with your podcast as well. I think you might find yourself having less and less time to do that, but keep it up. We'll see. And hopefully, in better times, you can come in here and you can teach us a few lessons about how to talk to people. And
I think you're doing a pretty good job. Well, that's the one thing I did realise is how difficult it is. You know, you think, you know, asking questions is easy, but oh my word, like, hats off to both of you.
We're trying. Laurie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Do I get to request a song?
Would you like another song? We'll play it at the end. Go on. If it's on our
One
system.
song I've really loved recently is Rasta by Jar Cure.
Right.
So if you can play that, that would be class.
I can't promise it's going to be on our system here.
We'll find it.
Jar Cure Rasta is one that's playing over and over at the minute on my phone.
You got to listen on a Saturday morning on this station. There's a girl called Antonia Jones, who is right up your street music-wise, and she plays all this stuff to get people going 7 till 10 on a Saturday morning.
Class! I'll tune in.
Make sure
Saturday morning, I'm there.
Yeah, you better get that money off her that I said I'd mention.
Yeah.
Well, look, Laurie, hopefully we'll see you in some England colours. In a few weeks' time. Smashing the ball around, and maybe at some point in the future we'll get you back on to have a chat about that as well.
Keep bumping.
Anytime. Yeah, it's nice to have friends. It's nice to have friends in Essex.
Hey, we try. We're not all too leery around at the county ground, but you never know. I do my best to keep a fairly nice lid on it. It doesn't always happen. Cheers.
All the best, mate.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.